Hi there, I'm glad you caught my video today. This is Esther from Stampin' Up Creations. I've already cut out a frame using the stitched Framelit rectangle dies in the second and third die that are in the set. I'm going to use these blending makeup brushes for my blending today and going in with Seaside spray. Just taking off the excess first before I add it onto my Whisper White cardstock. And just showing you in real time me blending this in so that you can see, hopefully you can just about pick up the blue that is actually coming on the page. I'm using Mossy Meadow to add the seaweed and building up the scene from the background first. So I'm repeating the stamping, doing second and third generation stamping, and this just gives me some nice depth to the seaweed. And I decided to go further up the page so that it covers all up the sides and wasn't left lingering. I used the matching dies in the Sea of Texture die set and used copper foil paper and just scrunched it up to give it a bit more texture so it wasn't so flat. I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of the dies to cut out some shapes and some coral and seaweed. Now I wanted a fairly realistic looking octopus. I quickly googled octopus. I tried doing one image, it didn't quite work out, so this is me trying again. Going in with gorgeous Grape and using the brushes to apply the ink, and then using the brush again to apply some Terracotta Tile to see if it will help to blend the purples and the oranges together. So because the purple didn't show through the first time, I tried to apply it first rather than applying it afterwards. So as you can see, it did pick up a bit, not as much as I wanted it to, so I used the brush to go over it to colour the legs in a bit more so it makes it more purpley. Just arranging where I'm going to put all these shapes and dies that I've cut out. So in order to create even more depth in my picture, although I knew that I was going to have a window sheet on top of this, I thought it would be quite fun to have some of the seaweed and the coral on the front, in the foreground rather, and then some in the background. So I am sticking some of the coral to the frame itself and then the rest to the back of the picture. I've used Seaside spray, card and Calypso coral to cut out the coral shapes, and I'm sticking the octopus behind the whole image. And I've used Mossy Meadow cardstock for the other seaweed. I keep bringing back in my frame just so that I can see where everything's sitting and seeing how the scene is building. Here I see if I can get away with actually sticking the seaweed behind and layering that up. I decided just to use a bit of copy paper to use as a stencil to add some fishes in the background. Now thankfully the octopus is covering up any smudges that I'm made in the process. I wanted to add a bit more sponging or blending to the picture, so just getting my brush again and adding some more ink to the bottom and around the edges of the card where the seaweed is. I then got this idea about when the sun rays shines through water, and I wanted to kind of create that look. It didn't quite come out, but actually in the grand scheme of things, by the time it's all put together, it doesn't matter too much. So that was using the Seaside spray. I'm using tear and tape and cutting it in half to just place little bits on the frame so I could put my window sheet on top. Although I did measure it to size, the window sheet did stick up at the end, so I'm carefully placing it from the bottom up. This was the easiest way that I could do it. So just go along with your scissors and trim off any excess that might have gone over the edge. Now, unfortunately, I missed out a big chunk of this video. I had to stop videoing and I was trying to decide what card I was going to use. Now, I've realised I've missed the bit where I splash on some water and I do put a bit of silver embossing, and I decided in the end to turn it into a shaker card, so I added seeds and sequins and beads to my card. So I'm really sorry that you missed out on that bit. I didn't realise that that bit hadn't recorded. I decided to go for Pretty Peacock as my background card and using tear and tape to stick the whole thing down because I still had some bumpy edges on the back of the card, and I found that this was probably the easiest way to do it. So after I laid down my tape, this is one of my top tips on my YouTube channel that you might have found. If you just lift off a little bit of the tape on each of the pieces and then just carefully hover it over your work where you want it, and if it's ready to stick, you could just stick the sticky bits. If it's not, hopefully you can lift it up and move it again. Once you're happy with that, just pull off the strips and that releases the rest of the adhesive for you to stick down your whole card. So I hope you've enjoyed today's card. It just gives you a glimpse as to scene building. Do give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and do subscribe if you don't already. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.